Greetings, guys. Welcome to the brand new episode, the first episode of 2023 for Redemption of the Rotten. I'm your host, MrYazMan300, and joining me, God, I think it's mostly for the 100th episode because I stopped counting, is Andy and Mark. How are you guys doing, Andy?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's good to be back. Talk about some absolute shit movies and starting the year off with a high, I see.
Yeah. How about you, Mark? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah.
Just finished Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, how
Now
are you?
working on the platinum.
Oh, cool. Is it difficult? Because I know that game is hard.
Yeah, can play it on easy. There's easy, and there's a few bits the collectibles, and let's see whether I can make it platinum 800
Yeah.
or not. The collectibles might put me off. The tracking and the map's not that great.
Yeah. Yeah, God, that's the biggest criticism of the game is the map.
Just use a trophy guide. That's what I did. I just cheated towards the end. I'm like, I've done the story. I've done what I can. Now, where the fuck are the last couple of things I need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why whenever I do platinum, because when I platinum Horizon Forbidden West and God of War 2018, I looked mostly on guides in order to platinum them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the easy platinum has been, if you want, is actually the Spider-Man game. That was an easy platinum.
That was my first platinum.
Yeah.
It's like my only issue I had with the Miles Morales is that you have to replay the new game plus on hard difficulty. That's the thing I don't like about platinums. You're playing in a hard difficulty.
Did you? But yeah, obviously you were souped out by that point anyway, weren't you?
Yeah. But also it's new game
don't
plus, so it
remember
means it will be a little bit easier because you have unlocked everything.
I tell you, actually, what really annoyed me about that was unskippable cutscenes.
In which
When,
game?
when you're forcing you to do New Game Plus on hard, when you've literally just played the game and it's like
Yeah.
5-minute cutscenes, you're just like, oh, for Christ's sake.
That's what I actually, because I didn't finish all, and look, I got the platinum because I didn't do all the DLC trophies because I didn't finish the new game plus DLC for Horizon Forbidden West. That maybe I should start
Yeah,
playing.
see, that's the good way of doing it. Add them as DLC trophies.
Yeah, the best part about this, I can skip the cutscene because I remember I was most of the time skipping the cutscene, tapping my finger just to skip the cutscenes. Because I already know what happened. I was like, I'm just gonna play just for the trophy. Alright, now. That's actually a great discussion video game talks. Andy, do you want to talk about any video games before we talk about our topic?
Mark might like. I've just started Death Stranding.
Have you? Is it any good?
It's fucking weird. I was like, I found it for £8, which is probably what $10 roughly. And I was like, you know, I'll give it a go. A couple hours in, I'm like, this is not. I don't object to this. This is fine.
I have the collector's edition. I bought it for my birthday when it came out.
So have you got the BB?
It's up actually on the. I can't show because inside the box, up on the cabinet.
Brilliant. That's awesome. I'm jealous of that.
Man, there will be a discussion in the house. You put on the bin, people are like, okay, what the heck is this? Because everyone's looking at you. Why is there a baby inside of a jar?
Yeah, I've got loads of collectors. It's like that's definitely a weird one. Of like, yeah, I'd put that in a room no one else sees. Like my Halo ones, they're fine in the lounge. Yeah. The BB would be just no one goes in this room. Just
because I don't know if you guys can see
the
it.
bottom
That's
of the
actually
cupboard or something.
Yeah, that's actually a songbird from Bioshock Infinite. If you guys can see it well.
Oh, okay, yeah. See that's a somewhat.
I think I
normal
showed
one.
you guys, because sometimes people was like, to give to me, I was like, why is the hell is this? You thought there was some satanic stuff. I mean, if they said that was Xeno stuff, I would have said yes.
I mean, when you have this in your house, having like other shit isn't really that off-putting.
At least you don't have the rest of the cast of Firefly and Castle in your house.
Oh, I've definitely not looked. You know, no.
Yeah.
You can use it for Home Alone, or maybe try to people think there are people in your house where you're away.
Oh, I've done that. I've gone away for like a week, and my parents are going to come over and like paint something, and I've moved him into a different room, and like they're going to go in the bedroom. So you open the door, and he's just there, and I wait for the text when I'm like day 2 of my holiday, like you fucking what? They're like, sorry, it was funny.
Yeah. And I gotta say, did you guys did something improvement with your audio? Because your audio now sounds very better than last time I heard you guys.
Got a new headset.
Cool. Yeah, I'm still because I always use this earbuds because I have a giant head and I don't like using a headset. My heads end up hurting.
That's bad.
Yeah. So
I have no idea how microphones work, so mine's probably just in the wrong setting.
Yeah, that's the problem. The problem also, you got also the earbuds, you got Bluetooth. Sometimes my Bluetooth connects are not that well. And also the other one was the battery lifespan. Because I heard people talk about Raycon, they're great, earbuds also for your. I think they kind of got sponsored by Raycons.
I think at one point they sponsored every.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they sponsored, I think, everyone. Everywhere you go, it's like Raycon. I wonder if there's anyone who's using it. And by the way, this is not sponsored.
It's the Raid Shadow Legends of audio.
Yeah. God, how many? I forgot about that Raid Shadow Legend. Because I saw like a few weeks ago, like a video from someone on YouTube, and it was the promotion. Like it's an old video, Raid Shadow Legend. Okay, now what was it? Oh yes, like I said, Raycon is not sponsoring our stream, but our video. What the hell I said stream? So anyhow, if you want to sponsor us, Raycon, we are free.
Yeah, what's the business email?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I already have multiple emails. One email for my social media account, one email for my Twitch account. Everything separate. That's because to make things safe.
Yeah.
Yes, if you pay us, we will put whatever you'd like in our bodies, in our heads, anywhere you want. If you just pay us.
This offer
That's
is
Andy's not mine or Mark.
I don't sell myself.
You know what?
Yaz is welcome to get sponsors.
Yeah. I wonder if we might get some Pornhub ads. Because like what? Do you remember Jay and Silent Bob reboot? They did an ad for Pornhub.
Did they?
No. They put the trailer on board up, I think, wasn't it? Or whatever, or something.
I think what's it? Jason Mewes comes in, it's like, it's like, hey, what are you guys doing? You can come watch our trailer, something like this.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of funny we're going to do adverts. We're looking to try and do adverts on it at one point.
Yeah. I think this one's also because, like I said, Twitch and stuff, I think maybe contractual obligations, stuff happens, like, they will tell you, hey, we can't have you guys do stuff with Pornhub, something like this. I don't know.
No, I think Pornhub, if I remember, they never got back to them or whatever, I think.
And they're still in contract with Rooster Teeth, right?
The cost was too much.
Are they still with Rooster Teeth contract? Because I think Rooster Teeth, do not allow anyone who does anything like nudity stuff. Because I think I heard some people who had, I think, OnlyFans who do some nude shit, they're not allowed to be part of Rooster Teeth because of their rules, something like this.
Well, they're part of Warner Brothers and stuff, but no. So kind of funny, just use them for the ads and the thing, so they're not under contract at Rooster Teeth. So I'd assume that wouldn't apply. I'm working my way because my friend was over on Friday through the 12-hour stream, and there was some talk of a lewd calendar by Blessing. I'm embarrassed. I think it was. Oh my.
Maybe it's gonna be the uncut, version of the. Remember when they went to Kevin's house? They were all naked in the shower. Maybe that can be the uncut.
If one of those pictures, if they do a nude calendar, is not Nick doing the fucking thing when he's got the wig on, I can't think what that was for. That needs to be one of the photos.
It should be him doing the Burt Reynolds instead of Kevin.
And obviously, Tim doing the Winnie the Pooh. Do you know?
Was it the Donald Duck that we used to say? Something.
Yeah, he did it. He did it with Winnie the Pooh on Halloween, didn't he?
Oh, that one we should send it to the Chinese president. He'll love it.
And we're off the air in China.
Yeah.
Screw. Oh man, I already love
it. See how many countries we can get this podcast banned in.
Well, I know with the YouTube role, we waited until after 8 seconds to swear, so we're fine for that point. We can now say cunt all we like.
Yeah. And by the way, I love to say this here because they're Brits.
Yeah.
Cunt and wanker, that's all we got.
We may be reviewing a kid's film, but unfortunately this podcast will not be kid-friendly in any way.
I mean, to be fair, this thing all began without being adult stuff, and I think we should now start, since we're bringing up with kids, friends, and adult stuff. So I think we should begin now talking about the film. And before we begin, some housekeeping first. Like I said, if you like what I'm doing, make sure if you're on YouTube, you subscribe and you give us a like, because I'm close to 100 goals. Because I think last time I checked, I'm at 91. And make sure you give us a like and you review us on all the podcast services like iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can use. And since that's it, I think we should begin talking about the movie. And before we talk about Kangaroo Jack, let's talk about a movie that I think that came out, I think, a year or 2 years ago. Do you guys remember that Danny Boyle movie Yesterday?
Yes.
Have you guys seen the film?
Yes.
Because it sounds like a Mark movie. What did you guys thought of it, Mark?
I liked it. I thought Ed Sheeran was good at it as well.
That's the Richard Curtis also script also. The guy who did Love Actually. What about you, Andy?
I really like the film, but yeah.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, so I'm not a Beatles fan, but I've never watched it in one go. I have just seen this third, and this third. So together I've seen it, but it's fine. I don't object to it. It's just not my sort of film.
Yeah. All right. So you guys are wondering, okay, so we're supposed to be talking about Kangaroo Jack. Why are we talking about it yesterday? So if you guys remember, a few months ago, there was a story going around that people are suing the studio because for the trailer. So what happened is that originally when they shot the film, Anna de Armas had a role in the movie, and she appears in the trailer. But however, when the final cut came in, they were still editing the film, and Danny Boyle and his team, they thought man, we have to get rid of it because his story is not connected well with the movie. We have to remove her.
She was she was the second love interest.
It's something like this.
So that then confused the actual love. There was a spanner in the works. It just didn't work. I think in the film, by having being courted by two women, I think it just mixed it up. So they just cut her role completely and to avoid and just got rid of that whole storyline.
Yeah. So anyhow, so people saw that because some people, in fact, they saw I think the trailer on Amazon or YouTube. It's let's win this movie, and the Armas in the film. And when they played the movie, it's hey, wait a minute, she's not in the movie. So they ended up suing actually the studio.
Yeah, and she was probably the biggest star, other than Ed Sheeran or whatever. I don't think I'm not sure whether they put that in the trailers or not.
I mean, Lily James is also in it, and you got James Corden playing himself. And that's I remember he was on the. And what's her name? The actress from Saturday Night Live, and she was in the all-female Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but they had obviously used her name to as a name in the film or whatever. It wasn't it was one of the big splash up names and showed footage. Of her
she was up
in
and coming. She was already in gay. She was already she had Blade Runner coming out, and she was having Bond was about to come out, and she had multiple projects about to come out. And this way, because I think part of it, because sometimes you watch movies as because more example, Infinity War, they had clips that were not in the movies. Remember that scene they were running and there's Hulk behind them? That was not in the movie.
I know. I mean, it's not like I've never I've only watched the film just because someone's in it, and I'm sure Andy may have also watched the film with someone behind him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He might have not otherwise watched. So
he's mad because he found out that he was in a deleted scene in Deadpool. Remember what I told you about it?
Yes. I was wait, what? Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, it's more that one from Guardians 2. I'm still salty about. That would have been a good scene.
He would have played, I think, Wonder Man, but now they're doing a Wonder Man, but it's a different actor.
Oh man!
It's the guy who played
Alan Tudyk. That'll do.
And he's kind of now in the MCU because with Deadpool 2. Him and Matt Damon cameo.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Oh, who are we talking about?
With Deadpool 2. Remember when in Deadpool 2, spoil? I mean.
Oh yeah, the Cable comes and he's talking about wiping his ass with baby wipes.
Yeah, because there were two people on the drug. Matt Damon was in makeup, and then you see Alan Tudyk just himself.
But Matt Damon, no. So see, that's Deadpool we'll find out in Deadpool 3 what the Deadpool universe. But that isn't the MCU.
He's going to make fun of it.
He's basically he's going to jump, so that isn't. But obviously, Matt Damon is way more prominently in the MCU already.
All right.
Oh yeah, he's the actor in Thor, isn't he?
I mean, the MCU, they had multiple people play multiple roles. I mean, was it Michelle Yeoh? She was in Guardians and Shang-Chi. Was it Shang-Chi, right? And what was it?
It's
Gemma Chan. She was in...
Eternals and Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who else also was it? I forgot. Oh, yes. What was her name? She was the villain in Luke Cage. She was also she had a small role in...
TV.
Oh, yes, she was
Mahershala, because this kind of now looks like it might become canon because they had Charlie Cox now. He's now playing back Daredevil and shows Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, we'll see. But
so we were talking about yesterday.
And the law case has come up now, hasn't it?
Yeah, that came out, and I think they just said that I think he's about to rule in favor of the people who sued the studio. Basically, that there's a chance that now studios might get sued for misadvertisement. And of course, the movies that we brought up has been in Infinity War, and now one of them was also Kangaroo Jack, our movie we're about to review it. And so we guys have, of course, the Kangaroo Jack. If you're a kind of funny guys, is already now it's infamous, one of the most famous episodes with Jerry O'Connell.
So it is. I think it's one of their best podcast episodes ever. I watched it again last night.
I remember when I shared.
It's just so funny.
I shared the podcast link to some.
And then it gets like 10, 20 minutes. And Greg just literally just screams, "What's Jerry in the park?" And then kept avoiding actually talking.
I remember I shared the link to people in different community Discord, and all the response like, "Why is Jerry O'Connell outside the field? Why is Jerry O'Connell outside the field?"
And why is he in a public park screaming, "I've got B, I've got B," and like, doing all these pantomiming things, and then he starts pulling out props. It's like, what is going on? And the reason was he was in a park is because he doesn't have decent internet at home. Which is actually quite a big problem. Kevin Smith has a nightmare with his internet as well. So I think like the Hollywood Hills have got really bad internet.
All those money, they don't give people good internet. Do we blame Comcast for this? We can get more people angry. Besides China, and we could put Comcast also on the list of people.
Yeah, it's fine. If it's Comcast internet, they'll never get to this part. It will still be buffering, so it's fine.
Yeah. You know, as long as we don't upset Google, we'll be fine. Because
now that sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, God, here we go.
Well, as long as no one makes a Stadia joke, that'll be okay. I think that Google was like, nah, you can make fun of a studio. So anyhow, so Kangaroo Jack, so that's actually, it's funny enough, one other reason we want to talk about it, because it's celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. 20th anniversary.
I watched this when I was little. I'm old. Jesus.
I saw it on a DVD actually. When people used to rent DVDs from stores.
I think I may have seen it before. I don't know. It would have been so long ago anyway. And yeah. I certainly didn't remember too much of it. And obviously, having watched that podcast multiple times, obviously.
Because most of the movies are very famous for its behind the scenes like story about what happened. Because a lot of people don't know this movie actually began as a R-rated, movie.
Hard gangster movie.
Yes, there was like cursing, and you mentioned nudity because Jokan said he did a full frontal nudity. Makes me wonder, because since you guys have seen the film, makes me wonder if that scene will be a problematic. So we'll talk about it later.
Release the O'Connell cut. # release the O'Connell cut.
Okay, so we were so we talk about, so they made the film, and they had the people, and like they got the screenwriters, and I think one of them was the guy who wrote Con Air, if not mistaken, Scott Rosenberg, and even brought.
I mean, it was a Jerry Bruckheimer film, isn't it?
That's actually the biggest surprise, because if you guys know Jerry Bruckheimer, he's known for making big budget action films. Because the same year this came out, I think it's also we got Pirates of the Caribbean. The first movie came out the same year.
I mean, there is some big action scenes in this film.
I mean, it depends on the type of action you're talking about. So so they made this film out, and then what happens is that they test screened it, and then they noticed that people were more positively responding to the kangaroo part. And
no, the feedback came back. It was from the podcast. The feedback came back, and it was like, "Well, you've got a CGI kangaroo on the poster. We thought it was going to be a family film." Like when they test screened it, like,
well, see what happened was, from I was reading an article, Jerry Bruckheimer and Alan Horn, who used to be the head of Warner Bros. At that time, they saw the marketing for a Cuba Gooding Jr. Disney film, I think called Snow Dogs, if I'm not mistaken, and
which is Cisco's in.
Oh, really? Isn't it?
And that's a much worse film than this.
Apparently, there's also John Corbin. I don't remember the actor's name. He was like one of the people in Magnificent Seven. That's actually his last movie before he passed away, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Too many bad films that have lost people last movie or before they passed away. The last gift to humanity before they got.
That's when they just check out. You're like, nope, I'm done. That's.
I mean, Sean Connery has some for us.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, in case I was wondering.
I quite like that film, but yeah, you're about the animated abomination. But yeah, you've sent me a trailer for.
I found out about the day he died. Someone pointed out that he did this. It's like, he did what before he died? God. So anyhow, so they saw the marketing. He's like, hey, you know what? Let's make this, this is a movie. We'll make it to a PG-rated film, and we'll make more focus on the kangaroo. And apparently, when I was reading it, originally they used animatronic for the first cut for the film for the kangaroo, but then just like, because we need to use CG for the film instead. So they ended up bringing him back and do some reshoots for the film for some season, and they edited to make it look like, I'm actually surprised they didn't win.
And they added in the dream sequence where the kangaroo talks.
Yeah. Well, that's a funny scene.
And
raps. Yeah.
So yeah, that was he said on the podcast. Yeah, that was one of the major.
That was what they were selling the film. Like, we got a rapping kangaroo.
Had to dub over, like redub a load of stuff to get out the near constant swearing that was in the script. Apparently.
Yeah.
Which is, we were just swearing constantly. We were saying because it was a gangster movie.
Yeah. They described it as a midnight run in Australia. And it was only called also Down Under originally. I
must admit, knowing that coming in, knowing the story coming into this, I was not expecting.
Do you guys know who directed the film Kangaroo Jack?
No.
His name is, I forgot, it's David McNally. His last film, I think he only did 2 movies. His last film before that was Coyote Ugly. That was also not Jerry Bruckheimer production. That's how he was able to brought him in, because they were looking for a director. Bruckheimer was just like, you know what, I'll bring my friend. I worked with him on Coyote Ugly. I'll bring him for this project.
Yeah, Coyote Ugly, quite an adult film, etc.
and I don't think he directed a film after that, because he was doing TV shows. His last, according to IMDb, his last directing career was in 2015 for the Beauty and the Beast TV show for the CW.
It's a TV series about that?
That's actually a remake of the Ron, what's it? The guy who played Hellboy, Ron, what's his name?
Perlman.
It's Perlman. That's the remake of the Ron Perlman TV show. Linda Hamilton, she plays the Beauty in it. He plays the Beast. Because he's in makeup, he looks like a lion. Yeah. And apparently George R.R. Martin, he also wrote an episode of that show also.
God. So
he'll write
dies.
Anything other than the last book of Game of Thrones.
He wrote
the last 2 books.
Last 2 books. Yeah. He literally find any excuse to write something other than
he'll write video games. He'll write CW shows. Just anything but Winds of Winter and Thing of Spring.
I think that used to be a NBC or something, because I don't think that was before the CW. Because that's I think how people recognized Ron Perlman first before he became big. Okay, so what was that? So we're talking about Kangaroo Jack. I think we should start talking about the movie. So the film is actually, it stars Jerry O'Connell, Anthony Anderson. I'm surprised to find out that Michael Shannon was in the film, because I forgot that he was in it.
His name popped up. I was like, oh shit.
and also,
another we'll get to in a minute.
Yes, and also you got also Christopher Walken's in it, because let me just pull up the cast list. Because I forgot the actress.
It's like, what the fuck Walken's in this? It's like, what the hell?
Because I remember Christopher Walken, because I forgot, because I saw it a long time ago. I didn't know what's his name. Shannon was in it.
Can anyone do a good Christopher Walken impression before we move on from that? Damn it, that was a shame. I was really hoping someone could.
Oh yes, Estella Warren. Of course, some of you might know her. She was actually the female lead in that Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was him.
So I'd be interested to know whether the opening shot was a reshoot, because it does seem quite tied into the actual story of the film anyway.
I think that was originally something planned for the movie.
Yeah.
Because
showing them as kids first.
And I will say something about the kids. You mentioned the kids. They did a great job with the casting of the kids, especially the kid who's playing young Michael Shannon, because that looks like a young Michael Shannon.
Yeah, it does.
Even his man and everything, because like, wow, that really got Michael. And I'll tell you something, Michael Shannon playing Christopher Walken's son, that's a great casting itself.
It does fit, yeah. They have very similar chin structure.
Even the way they speak also, they're... Because I think the two of them are the best part of the film. I know that Walken is only in for a few times, but he's great in it with the few scenes in.
The one thing I don't understand is they have different surnames. I don't understand how that works.
Because he didn't take his name.
No, Jerry Connor Diddle, but Christopher Walken is called Salvatore Maggio, and Michael Shannon is called Frankie Lombardo.
Yeah, but he's not his son.
He's apprentice of his.
I thought Michael Shannon was his biological son.
I don't know.
I don't think they ever said anything about that. They were just.
They call him his apprentice, like he's someone who's he's the guy who always takes care of him. His apprentice. Like he's the guy who wants.
Fair enough. The entire time I thought that was his actual son.
I was also the same thing. And now that you said, I had to confirm because I always thought that was his son.
I didn't get that. I just he was a school friend of theirs. Was the connection I got.
Yeah.
I rented this. I wonder if I can still open it. I'm going to watch see if I can find the scene where they mention it.
I don't know. Because I know that Jerry O'Connell in the movie, his mom, they don't show only the beginning of the scene. She's actually Diane Cannon, and when I looked at her, there's actually an old actress from Hollywood, and she used to be married to Cary Grant actually in the 1965.
Oh right.
Yeah, because the actress who plays Jerry O'Connell.
Those people are.
If you're big into Hollywood, guys, you know who they are. Cary Grant, I think he appeared in some Hitchcock movies. I think he. Oh yes, most notably North by Northwest. He was the lead in North by Northwest. So anyhow, so we begin the scene, and you see him like he talks about how his mom, she's in love with a mobster, and you see like young Michael Shannon. He throws like the ball. It's like what's it? Go long.
Go long. Yeah. It's
he threw it at him, and then you see like Charlie. Is that Jerry O'Connell's character, right? It's Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. Charlie and Lewis.
Yes, Charlie, he actually, he goes on, and for some reason, even though he knows how he can swim, he had to go into the water. And then, of course, he drowns, and then the only person who can save him is Lewis, his friend. And that day on, he saved, and they became best friends for life. And then it cuts to, if I'm not mistaken, 20 years later, and you see, like, Charlie, he's owning a hair, is it a beauty salon or a hair salon?
A beauty salon, yeah. Which I thought was an odd. But this is also meant to be based upon a story that's out there, obviously never confirmed as reality because it involves mobsters or whatever, but a very well known.
People they got lost in Australia. I think
urban legend or whatever of like two mobsters go to do a payoff. I suppose the kangaroo with the jacket with the money on it, etc. I think that part of it is kind of based on.
That was the pitch because
people believe happened.
They like that. They said, let's make this into a pitch because that's how the idea. I think Scott Rosenbaum, his screenwriter friend, the guy who came to him, who's also I think a big fan. So he came to him. It's like, hey, I have an idea from. Let's take this story about what happened, and then he was like, oh, that's a good. Let's pitch it. He went to Bruckheimer, Disney. I think they went to Disney because Bruckheimer had a good relation with Disney, producing movies for like Armageddon and Con Air, etc. And then they told him, no, it's like when we shop it down. Castle Rock, I think that's Rob Reiner's company. They got the rights for it.
Yeah, and the WB logo in front of the one that I watched.
Yeah, that's explained the last shot with the WB. So of course, like you see him like Charlie now. He's now grown up, played by Jerry O'Connor, and then Lewis, his friend, comes in, who's played by Anthony Anderson. He comes and asks him for help now to move some truck. It's kind of when we say truck full of TV and. It's kind of his stolen, and of course he's like, "Fine, I'll help you." And then when they go in, of course they get chased by the police because it's a stolen truck.
And then when you see the TVs, I was just like, "Oh my god, this dates this film so much."
This is the first Fast and Furious all over again.
Yeah, they were robbing DVDs.
Like these giant CRT TVs. It's like, oh my god. And then they start falling out the back of it as well.
Yeah,
we still got 6. We got 5. We got.
And the police,
one of those.
Some of the shots, in fact, they look like an action because when you watch
this car chase is like quite intense and like.
That's actually Jerry Bruckheimer car chase because if you guys familiar, that's actually his trademarks. It's just the TV's falling, entering the subway on people, and etc.
They smash up a ton of cars and stuff. You're like, wait a second, like I think this is the first time you start realizing that this wasn't actually made as a kids movie.
Because it doesn't feel, that was, I think, like you said, that's the first thing where you feel it doesn't feel like a kids movie.
It's like, this is some good action for like not as comedic as it would be otherwise, and there's some people in some quite peril here, including police officers.
Yeah, and of course.
But yeah, it was shot really well and quite frenetic, and I thought it was quite cool.
Yeah. So of course they escape the police. They go to the warehouse. They find out that this bus belongs to his stepfather. His stepfather's name is Sal, right?
Yeah,
Sal.
he just and I think Lewis just pulls into somewhere to hide, not realizing that it's their warehouse or whatever. I don't think he intentionally brought them there. That wasn't.
It's like Lewis says, I didn't know that was his. And then you see, of course, the cop, they raid and they escape. They steal everything then the way. Is this one of his
4.5 million?
Wow.
4.5 million was the figure given
Painting,
the loss. Cars, just like.
And of course,
yeah, you messed up there.
Yeah. And of
they
course,
managed to escape by throwing some drums down, like everyone else gets arrested other than them.
Yeah. I think they said everyone escapes because the police after when they escape, don't they?
No, well, a few of the people get arrested because they run out the front or whatever. They run up. But yeah, a giant fuck up.
Yeah.
On their part.
Yeah.
Just like,
of course,
5 TVs.
And of course, we get Christopher Walken, like he's talking with them and doing his suit for Christopher Walken stuff. It's like, man, I can't believe, man, you're embarrassing me. It's like, you didn't talk my last name. I was okay with this. You said you want to open a beauty salon. I know that people make fun of me, but I decided to support you, everything. But this now, I'm giving you now one chance. Of course, he tells them he go to Australia and deliver this package. And I do like also that Lewis is like, oh, he wants to open. He's like, hey.
Don't open it. George mentioned that his dog's called Waffles as well. I quite enjoyed that.
Because seriously, why would you? If someone gives you a package and tells you to why do you have to open if it's not yours?
Also, how did that look got noticed by customs? Like that would have had to gone through an X-ray machine. It's 2003, so it would have been after.
No, it was on his person, so it wasn't. They didn't have full body. He wouldn't set off a metal detector. Money doesn't set off metal detectors. I think he means an X-ray.
So, yeah, but I mean,
if you normally have bags, it would have gone through.
But you normally you have to empty your pockets. You have to take everything out, your phone, your keys, and not even metal stuff. Everything has to come out of your pockets and into the trays.
We're talking about a movie called Kangaroo Jack.
I know. This is what I do. You know, I always find the nitpicky shit.
But again, I don't.
I like that they address this later in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they go to Australia. Yeah, because you're right. Now you brought it up. Like, that's actually supposed to be after because that's 9/11 because where everything is now feels secure over there.
It was 2 years after you would have taken everything out of your pockets and put it in one of those little trays and through the X-ray. So that should have been.
But it would have just looked like a book on an X-ray.
No, it would look like there's some kind of money.
Yeah, it would look like money.
There's a limit also, I think, because for money, if it's past the limit, I think the custom would arrest you or something.
Yeah. Well, no, you can't. Yeah, it's arrest you.
I think it's about $5,000 normally.
No, it's 10 grand. I think they do say it in the film.
In Australia, because in the background you see it's written on background. There's about maximum 10, but I don't know if that's 10 Australian dollars or 10 US dollars.
10,000 US dollars,
which is about what 20 Australian.
All right.
I wouldn't know the exchange rate.
You should call Matt and ask him. He's Australian, right?
Yeah.
Like we need an expert on this. We need to find out the details.
All right. So they go out and the plan. And also with there we find T's like there's something wrong because he said we're canceling their return tickets. So they traveled on the plane.
Oh, yeah, no, we're not booking them the return. Yeah.
Yes. They didn't book it or did he cancel it?
I thought he said cancelled.
I've got a note of no return flight. Yeah.
So anyhow,
it's the same.
It's a one trip flight. That's what we'll say.
Yeah.
So
and then
that's in the plane. That's where they're inside and
yeah, where they've also introduced Mr. Smith, and there is a deadline for them to get this money there as well. They've already introduced the deadline, and then you get on the plane with the toilet where he's trying to get.
It's so big. Can I hold it? I just want to smell it. Just put it in my hand.
Yeah, and I thought that was
this is ultimate Andrew humor. This is right up my alley.
Yeah, and I thought that was actually the same because the girl that was in the play, that's the same actors who would play like the love interest later in the film, because I thought they were there, but they're
Was
not.
it?
No, it was different actors. I just checked.
Yeah, it just looks similar.
They do look very similar. Yeah.
He had a type.
Yeah. Of course, blonde white woman. Of course, if you have Charlie, and of course they all thought it was a poop joke. And then thinks they have to.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that was actually a little bit funny for me. I did laugh at this part. But of course, after
But again, also like quite a bit. Oh, that kiddie, like.
I mean, you expect this in kids' movies. I mean, especially right now.
Yeah, poop jokes, yeah, but there was also a bit more like it started off as penis jokes, didn't? And then it went to poop.
Yeah.
But
I think it's supposed to be like. I think the original was originally like, maybe it's supposed to be like them were having sex. Maybe that was the original thing. Maybe that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went from Mile High Club to penis joke to poop joke.
Yeah. All right. And
I
then,
did spend the whole time watching because they did say how much they were swearing in it, and I couldn't catch the cuts or the dubs or the whatever of it, which I thought was quite impressive.
There's one scene I'll talk about it later where you kind of obviously was a reach and it was badly edited. But I'll talk about it later and we'll get to that part.
But I mean, it's not. I was expecting this film to be all over the place on that, like continuity cut, like all sorts of things. It does manage to be.
When you watch it without knowing this, you were not supposed to. Knowing this, I did notice this because of when doing the behind the scenes of this movie. You kind of noticed that when you watch the film, like
I was looking out for the mouth, not being in sync and stuff like that. And
there were some parts, there were some edits because they're running. You don't see them walking, maybe in the background with their backgrounds. Because I think there's a scene where it's kind of obvious an ADR where you see what's his name. Charlie talking to Lewis. Lewis is speaking, but the camera is focusing on Charlie. But you know that's an ADR because I think Charlie's mom is only a little bit shaking his head because that sounds like maybe an ADR thing they did later.
Oh yeah, they did a load of dumping over, to fix because apparently they were swearing nearly every other word.
Did you watch? I think the TV edit for Snakes on the Plane.
No.
It's Monday to Friday flight or something like that, isn't it?
Yes, Monday to Friday flight on this monkey flying plane, something like this.
Yeah. Just see that scene, but yeah.
Monkey.
I'm sick of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
People are like, what? All right. So anyhow, they reached down to Australia. I think what's his name? Lewis said, "No, I just follow me. Look what I'm doing." As Lewis is him, he cows on a pack. He hits on with the custom guard. He passes it, but then when Charlie comes in, of course they have to strip him and tears him everything. Now they arrest him because he had the barber stuff too, right?
Yeah,
scissors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you bring him on a plane scissors? I mean, we know that.
I think he's always got them in his back pocket, and it does come up later. They're his tools of the trade, etc. It's just like it's something I think that you would get so used to always having your scissors in the back pocket that you wouldn't necessarily think if you were getting on a plane. Yeah.
But this is just another one of those things of whenever I've flown, you're checked before you get on the plane, not after. Yeah. So the scissors should have been found in America, not Australia. You get to Australia, here's the passport, yes, go, bugger off. Not, we're now going to strip search you again.
Also, because I remember I saw a movie, I don't know if you guys remember Colin Firth and Samuel Jackson, and it's called, and also Michelle Rodriguez, and it's called SWAT, because there's a scene in the film where a guy, he comes in from, it was a European country, he comes to, I don't remember if it was Russia or some European country, he comes to the US, and in the US custom, he had, I think, a knife. He's like, hey, you're not allowed to bring this. He said, when you come back, before you come to the airplane, you mail it. Did he tell him?
Yeah. But yeah, okay. Well, again, we're watching this film. Is
Kangaroo Jack. Okay. Yeah, and how many?
But as you say, it is actually quite obviously because it was designed as a kind of a gangster thriller. Like a lot of the logic does actually hold up way more than it would on kids' films.
In the normal kids' film, there's only one or two fuck-ups, but yeah.
All right, so what was it? So surprisingly, the film was rated PG instead of PG-13. That's the surprise.
With no
guns
to do it.
And...
Yeah. And some inappropriate behavior stuff. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, but no, they literally cut it to make it PG, so that the kid, the people could take their kids to see it.
And this is so how manipulative sometimes studios are. All right, so so they escape down, they leave the plane, and of course So the guy who photographs them, is that the police?
So the FBI have caught on that this is happening,
and in Australia, I think
involved.
that's right, because later, because I just remembered the end of the movie, they explain it. Of course, now of course, see someone taking a photo of them. They drive while listening to Men at Work. Was it Down Under?
Men Down Under.
Do Aussies hate this music? Yeah. People, Aussies sing. That's a good question. I want to know the thought. Do people hate when they sing? Okay, so
anyway, so they're driving through the outback.
And of course, they're driving, and of course, that's where we get to meet Jack. Well, or maybe because we see a dead body, and people are like, I remember, did you guys really first thought? Did you thought it was gonna turn to Weekends at Bernie with the kangaroo?
Yeah, where they're posing with it. But I must admit, from the beginning, the CGI was.
I think they used animatronic, and some should use animatronics because originally there was all animatronic. Then they went with CG for some sorts.
But it got for a 2003 film, the animated kangaroo was held up pretty well. I wasn't expecting,
I mean,
that it actually had some emotion and moved the eyes, and the fur wasn't too bad. It was like.
All right, so of course they start posing for, and they say he'll take Jackie Legs, but they say that I thought it was a rapper or musician something. They said no, it's actually a guy who's part of Sal's group, a gangster. Jackie Legs.
Like I say, I just googled Jackie Legs. I'm like, is that a real person? Like, it's not a real person.
That's what I thought too, because I thought
it was like a musician or something.
That's why, because no, it's just actually a guy. Because they make the joke later in the film. Oh wait, that guy from somewhere, etc. is also involved because one of the Michael Shannon's henchmen mentions. So anyhow, they take the footage of Jackie Legs turns out to be alive. Punches, kicks. I mean, he kicks
the hard kick to the chest.
But the kangaroo are known for to do it. Then he leaves, and then of course it's like. Oh man, he has the money, man. And they start chasing him, but they end up losing him.
Well, they end up crashing the car, don't they? And again, quite a phonetic sort of driving around obstacles and
the
kangaroo.
What was he crashing? Was that an anthill?
Termites.
Something like that. Because man, they can't be stoned because they're breaking up two V's because.
No, they're termite. They were termite mounds.
Yeah.
Which was
Like scraping of water for those who are not listening, watching. All right.
And then they go off a cliff.
Yeah.
Or go off an edge and smash into a boulder with the car and just completely.
And the kangaroo looking at them like he does most of the movie. And of course they have to bring the insurance jokes. It's like, did you insure the car? And Lou's like, nope.
My uncle said that's a scammer.
Yeah, and of course they see them like also, I will admit the idea of the movie is kind of funny. Like, of course we later, like I mentioned, we'll talk about later, but we find out like that's the whole thing is actually they sent the two guys to get to meet a guy who's actually a contract killer that to kill them basically. Which is so
for that point, it's actually quite clever. That's done in a film before.
But these two guys, idiots, they had to screw over that plan.
And for it to kill them in the Australian outback, as if they looked like, to make it look like an accident, so the mum wouldn't be pissed.
Yeah. And also because
send them to
if they killed them in New York, because they're under watch by the FBI, they would suspect it.
Yeah, but also those two in the outback, as you see throughout the film,
it just
it's not. No one's going to blink an eye at. Yes, those two fell off a cliff in the outback or something, or got bitten by a snake in the outback or whatever. They're all completely bungling all the way through the film.
Yeah.
So the mum's not going to be too suspicious.
So you see them like walking out, and then they come across a town, and that's what there's like, you know what, we're gonna go check the Lewis side, and he's gonna call Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith angry, he thinks that they have actually they stole the money for them. They're running away, and he's gonna come after them. And then of course Lewis decides to see like a wildlife preserve, and he comes across, you know, he's up living. He comes across what's her name? Jessie, who's part of the foundation. And he goes
also at some point in here, the kangaroo goes into the pocket and finds the sweets, and you get the red vine with his eyes, and then he's the super hot god stuff. Which again was well done.
Yeah, so also, you know, forgot to mention Mr. Smith, he's played by Martin, how to pronounce his last name.
Michael,
because Csokas.
No,
Oscars?
Martin. Yeah,
Oscar?
I don't know, but it's Martin Soka, something like this, because he's Hungarian New Zealand actor. Because of course, people might recognize him. He was in Triple X, and apparently he was in Lord of the Rings movie. I remember his character in Lord of the Rings.
I'm gonna go refill my drink. And he talks Lord of.
Who's he in Lord of the Rings? I must know.
Nothing, because it was also the bad guy in the Denzel Washington movie, The Equalizer. Because I've seen him in a project where he was actually good.
Lord of the Rings.
See if you can.
Oh, he's Galadriel's husband. I forgot his name. What's his name?
Celeborn.
Yes, yeah, Celeborn. No, Celeborn, yeah.
Because I don't remember him in the movies.
I think he's more in the extended. He has that one scene because he's the "Tell me where is Gandalf, I must speak to him," just from the Hobbit and Isengard song. But yeah, I think he's in the extended scenes more.
I only see him in Fellowship and Return of the King, but I don't know the Two Towers.
Yeah, because he's there at the beginning after Gandalf dies.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that he was also in, what was it? Spider-Man 2, the Doctor was torturing Electro.
Have we finished Lord of the Rings talk there?
Yes.
Yeah, as soon as you sat down, Yaz goes, he said Spider-Man, like, Mark's back.
Yeah. He was also in Sin City 2. I have not seen the film. But...
Yeah, and they're in the bar drinking.
Yeah, of course, that's when he meets up a guy named Blue, as an Australian guy, drunk, and then you see him like his betting, see how many shots can he drink. And of course, Lewis in some meeting, what's her name, Jessie, and she tells him like, "Hey, I'm going to help you." And then he comes out to Charlie, and he tells him like,
"Well, no," she says, "Here's what you need to do."
Yes.
If I was doing it, I'm not. She didn't say she's going to help them.
Right.
She said, "Here's how. If you're trying to find a kangaroo,
oh, that's actually she helps them later, not now."
Yeah, she just tells them how they can go about what the best plan to go about finding the kangaroo.
Yeah, and she gives them also a pilot name. So a tranquilizer gun. She tells us like step 1, blindness. What's it? Step 2? What's step 2?
Step 2 is motor functions. Yeah. And then temporal paralysis.
No, did paralysis the first one? Then more.
No, temporal paralysis, and then you pass out.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. And then he was like, "Now I'm gonna call the pilot." And then Blue comes in, he falls to the ground, and then you find out that Blue is actually the pilot.
Lewis? Slacks them.
Yes, and I like the chart. It's like, do you have a plan B? No, of course. I do like it's like when they're flying, they have to explain like how they wake him up. They have to explain with coffee and Red Bull.
That's cute hangovers. Mark should know that.
Drinking and flying, not a right idea.
Yeah, I've seen Flight. I saw what Denzel Washington did.
Wow, that's such a random pull. That's a good film. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I think pilots hate this film because they say how unrealistic it is.
Yeah, I think you can do it one way, but if you're that way, you can't then go back.
Yeah.
Well,
have you not seen Flight, the Denzel Washington film? He flips a 737, but then he's in a storm, so then the thing fucks, so he inverts it. Then does he invert it again, or does it land upside down? He
flips back to normal, then he lands on the ground.
And then it crashes down, but yeah.
Because the whole movie is about him dealing with alcoholism, addiction. So anyhow, so they're flying and they with Blue, and Blue. It's like we have to find the kangaroo. He's jumping out in the red jacket. And of course, they spot him, and they're about to shoot. Like he accidentally shoots Blue, and then Blue starts suffering like all the 3 stages: blindness, temporal function, and paralysis. And of course,
it's all right. I've got it. Then he's got the stick between his legs, and then he's like, "I don't got it."
I think this part also might have been one of the deleted R-rated scenes because Jero Khan, he comes in and grabs him, and the way he's like, it might have been some maybe a sexual joke, like looks like he's grabbing his dick, something like this.
Well, no, I mean, all of these points in like the car chase earlier, I imagine there was a string of swear words in the original.
Even the way he's talking is like Blue, the way he's making noises.
For fuck's sake, whatever. Yeah.
It sounds like he's like doing some sexual noise, like the way when he was flying the flame, because he tells Charlie, "Come grab the I want you to fly," because
that's because he's
but
losing consciousness,
like the way
paralysis affecting his voice, and the rest of it is slurring. And
remember, he says like, "I'm using my legs to control the." I won't be surprised if there was like a dick joke, like he grabbed his dick or anything.
No, I don't. It was just. I think it was just playing on the.
Yeah, of course.
His body's starting to fail, and and then just to be able to have the line of "I've got it, I don't got it," kind of thing.
And of course, the plane of course crashes, and then they're like to tell Blue, it's like, okay, and then Lewis tells him, it's like, okay, of course, here's the thing, he tells him the truth, like, Mr. Smith was hunting, is trying to kill us because he thinks we stole from him, and he's hunting us. And that's of course just like, if you want to catch the money, he tells Charlie, it's like, the girl whom I met, so she told me that she's actually in an area we can go to. That Blue tells him where to go to, and also I like the fact that east is this way. No, it's east is this way. It's like he tells him different directions east. That's I think where we see like what's Mr. Smith enters like the bar, and this where she tells him about what the 2 Americans guy, and then Blue contacts his station, and then he tells him like, oh yeah, he tells them exactly where they are.
Yeah, they've landed by this point. They get their guide, which will come in later on, the original guide.
Yeah.
Who they've obviously did, but by the time they throw him out in a bit, don't they? Yeah.
It's actually there. I think it's right. Mr. Smith, he calls what's his name? He contacts his son. He tells him like, "You guys stole my money." Etc. It's like he tells like Michael Shannon. What's his name? Frankie. It's Frankie.
Yeah,
yes.
Frankie.
Go see what happens. Like I see what was going on. So he travels in. He meets Mr. Jimmy, his guy. It's like, I'm going to travel with. Because I know first he said we have to be looking for grab some. We need the gun first. It's I know exactly where we get. We explain why they do get the guns. So you see them like for Charlie and Lewis. They're walking out in the desert. They encounter what's the animals?
Mirage.
No, not the animal. The dog.
Oh, the dingoes.
Yes, the dingoes.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, are they going to eat us like the baby? Because that's a reference to an incident. That's actually a true story, right? The dingo ate my baby.
I can't remember if it was or it wasn't actually, and
I know it was
child abuse or
a news story, because I don't think it happened. Because I know, what was it? Seinfeld made it was the reference it. I don't know. And of course, the sandstorm comes in, and then they knocked him down. And then they start walking. That's when Charlie sees the mirage. He sees the car, and then he tells them, "Man, you're losing your mind." And then, of course,
they got Slurpees.
Yeah.
That's when GC comes, and then it's like, "Oh look, there's another mirage." It's like, and Lou's like, Charlie, that's another. It's like, no, it's a mirage, of course. Then this is
straight onto the booth grab.
Of course, that's 32,000. Like, that's the era where sexual harassment were found funny. It's like, I'll go to the booth. Yeah, at least she punched him. He got what he deserved. And this, I think, we get the rap section, the dream sequence where he raps.
Yeah. And we get a Christopher Walken kangaroo.
Yeah, we do.
That's like my favorite part of the background dancer. They were dancing with the mic throwing away. Like the hype man. Yeah, tell him we're Christopher. Because I was watching a guy.
Which was all. Yeah, that was all completely added bit in just so that you could have a bit of a clip of this kangaroo talking in the trailer. Yeah. Even though it's not a talking kangaroo movie. It's
yeah. And also, I was watching a guy's review, and he mentioned, man, like the background people that look like these are Christopher Walken's hype man. They're insulting.
Yeah. I think Michael Shannon got a kangaroo as well, didn't he? If I remember. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I think I saw Mike Shep because I know it was his friend Lewis comes in. It's like, really, this is how you treat me after I saved your life? And then just all of them start screaming at him, chicken blood. Yeah. And of course, he wakes up and he sees actually the girl. I like that she gives the that you're about to lose your testicles. Like, no, I'm joking. And what does he say?
Yeah. It cures the nausea and your testicles will drop off.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding about the nausea.
Of course,
she does start getting quite flirty quite soon after that boob grab as well, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it was a bit like, why?
I mean, thankfully this is a short film, so things have to be rushed, I guess.
Yeah, the whole movie feels rushed. Even the opening when they land in Australia, the montage, they rushed the montage.
Yeah.
Also.
I think they're trying to get around like all of these scenes where they've got dialogue that was just completely unusable.
Just like, we can't fix this, we'll just cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course.
Also, why would she have 3 camels? And what happens to a camp? Like, clearly she's got this big ass camp that clearly wasn't loaded onto those 3 camels that they then.
Again, we mentioned this is a movie called Kangaroo Jack.
It's about a talking kangaroo, Mark. Come on, be real. Just don't poke out little nitpicky things like that. What kind of asshole does that?
But it's a bit weird that she would have had 3 camels there. You know, you would have just had the.
Well, this might have been filmed on a Wednesday. It was Hub Day.
Yeah, of course.
So
where was I? Oh yes. So they wake up the next day, and of course, since there's a kids movie, there has to be some fart joke. We got some poop jokes and some for the fart jokes.
Did you think this won the Kids' Choice Awards for the best fart in the movie for 2003?
Wait, what? I have to check this.
When you go on Google and you just type in Kangaroo Jack, it'll certainly say, the plot of the movie, the box office director. It says awards. Kids' Choice
The
Award
only award
for
that
favorite
it
fart
won.
in the movie.
And the nominee was Anthony Anderson. Let's see who else.
Yeah, nominees: Daddy Daycare, Good Boy, and Finding Nemo. Winner: Kangaroo Jack.
Finding Nemo the fart joke? Oh, the squid.
Yeah, the squid fart.
Yeah, the bubbles. Yeah.
Goddamn.
Award-winning movie.
Award-winning movie, Kangaroo Jack.
And last year, before it was Scooby-Doo. That they only did 2 years of the award, I think.
I mean, Scooby-Doo, good film.
It says for 2 years, there's a Reddit post. For 2 years in 23, 2010, Kidford gave out an award for favorite fart in the movie. The winners, Matthew Lillard in Scooby-Doo and Jerry, supposed to be, what's his name? Anthony Anderson in Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah.
God. Fart. Man, if this was still on, they would have given it to, what's his name? The fart scene from, how was it? From La Lighthouse, it could have been one. The fart. But instead, they would have given it to, what's it, Doolittle for the dragon scene.
Oh, God. I swear every episode Doolittle gets brought up in this film.
Man, one day we have to get to it, maybe one day.
I've never seen it. No intention of.
I haven't, but I feel like
Andy, since we're speaking of fart, which one do you think movie had the best use of fart? The Lighthouse or Swiss Army Man?
I have seen neither of those films. So
Swiss Army Man has a good use. But yeah, anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. So basically, they're walking, the whole segment is mostly camels farting. And after that,
and then Michael Shannon catches up with the pilot, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he tells them where they're traveling, and after that, I think is where.
I should have never left the pub.
Yeah.
Great line. And now we get to where the full frontal would have been.
So this.
In the waterfall bit?
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah.
She tells them. I know she tells them what the location of the kangaroo might be. So they travel. She tells them we have to wait. So. She's showering, then of course he comes in because like you mentioned, she makes fun of his dick because size. Course.
And obviously, it's carefully cut. You can see the cut there of she was wearing clothes in there. He literally strips off completely.
It's a wet t-shirt, I think, because they had to make sure she's wet.
Yeah. But no, you could see. I wonder if they actually had to CGI out like the nipples or whatever. Like there's nothing.
But
on
you
the
see her
shirt
nipples
there.
in the end of the movie, remember, in the boat?
Yeah, but I mean, but for that scene, it would have probably been that would have probably pushed it over on the ratings if the shirt was any kind of see-through
the point of
or
the scene
whatever.
was to see a lot, so yeah, they probably had to.
It probably was originally. It probably was rather more.
And also because that actress,
originally.
I forgot her name. What's her? Estella Warren. I think she was not actually a big name actor, because if she was big, and she would have had control of what to show in her body in movies. Because that's why when you watch, Euphoria, Zendaya's one of the only actors in the show that doesn't do nudity in the show, because her contract says no nudity.
But yeah, this is certainly one of the scenes which is heavily cut.
Yeah, man.
So are you saying Jerry O'Connor's circumcised? I've had that joke for like the past hour. When you said full frontal and got cut, I've been waiting to slip that in.
Yes.
Like I said, this thing.
Don't worry, Nick made the same joke.
Oh, did he? Oh, good.
Or some similar joke, etc. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, what was I talking about? Oh yes, the scene. Because so you talking about the full frontal nudity. I think with all what's going with the client, I don't know if the right time to release it, especially with this scene. I was like, man, do you really have to release this uncut version of this scene, especially with what's going on with the current climate?
Again, but that was and again, everyone went into it. He had, there was intimacy, people on the set, like it was done, as it was, and that was the film that they were going to shoot. Like that was not the factor. It changed into something else. Like everyone knew going in what it was and the script and all the rest of it. Like as Jerry O'Connor said, he had to prepare his family.
This is a product of its time, because this was in jokes like this where people were supposed to think is normal. But still,
I've been way more interested to see like the dialogue, like the changes and all the rest of it. But yeah.
So of course, he kisses her because there's like they start falling in love, and then Lewis has to come and do it by jumping. Oh, that's right. Before that, they tried to catch it, the Kangaroo Jack, remember, with the whole thing, but they fail because the ants get.
He's Polo Man.
Yes. Because I just remember, and also I like the fact that. Because when he jumps in, he still had the makeup on him, like from all the dirt. When he comes out of the water, he looks very clean. Jerry O'Connor. I was like, wow. Yeah, and of course, this is actually where Michael Shannon he comes across the blue, and then he tells them like the car's like, oh yes, actually, he tells them about the Americans, like, oh really, thank you. They stop the car, they throw him away.
You just throw them both out, don't they? Yeah.
And then then 2 minutes later throws the guy down. But they drove away, and then they drove and then threw the other.
Did they throw a man, or was that a dummy for Blue? Because I know for Jimmy it was a man.
I don't know.
I think it wasn't, because I saw the way the hand would look like the dummy. I don't think it was. So of course, Mr. Jimmy, he tells them where's this location. He tells them where it is, and then they throw Mr. Jimmy away. So of course, the next day, that's I think is there where they wake up, and the Mr. Smith comes after them.
That sounds right. Yeah. They just sort of.
Yeah, and of course, Kangaroo Jack, he eats like the because in the beginning of the film, there's in the plane where Lewis had a jawbreaker that's filled with spicy.
Yeah.
Charlie eats it, and he was like, "Man, this is hot." And Lewis like, "Nah, it's normal." And of course, Kangaroo Jack eats it and is like, this hot. And of course, Mr. Smith comes in and he catches them. He's like, where's the kangaroo? And then, of course, I always keep forgetting her name. It's Jessie. She's like, yeah, I can help you where they are. And Smith tells his men to take them away and kill them, and he takes Jessie to the location of the kangaroo.
Yeah, because she's pissed off that it turns out it was 50 grand, not 4.
Yeah.
I was like, you met these people yesterday. Why are you acting like he just broke your heart because he lied about money?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyhow, so after that, so what was it? Oh yes,
So he falls over the cliff, doesn't he?
They're on the count, they're walking, and of course, Jerry remembers that he has the the scissors in his pants. He tells Lewis to get down. He cuts off the rope. The Lewis comes in. He cuts us like. What's that story about the Chinese, the Asian kid?
I was there. Som Nok Dong.
Something like this, man. Talking about a problematic thing. And by the way, one thing to mention, you mentioned that the Asian joke, and when we were recording right now, a shooting happened, but there was a celebration for a Chinese New Year. We were just, because this is not us trying to be offensive. We were talking about what happened in the film, so no disrespect to everyone from the Asian community. Okay, this is not us like being offensive. We're just talking about the movie. So
I did not know that happened.
Yeah, because we don't want people to think we were disrespectful. Because some people might think being disrespectful to talk about this right now. So that has to be careful. Like, and also, Andy, not in trouble or anything. Just actually a heads up to people who are listening.
No, I did know that. Yeah, I did know that happened.
Okay,
it was just the making fun of the stupid name that they give him. And
also, this actually is in the movie. It's happened a long time ago. So that's not to do with what happened. Okay.
Yeah,
the whole movie is problematic. Also, there's so many problematic stuff.
Yeah,
not just.
I've got one coming up after the next thing where I've got some problems with.
Yeah. And of course, what was it? Is it the R word?
Yeah, they use the hard R word. Yes. Like they cut all the film, but they didn't cut. That was fine to be in a kids' film back then. But
do you? I remember
the hard R.
This is. I'll tell you. We'll tell you where.
After the cliffs. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
So anyhow, of course, O'Connor, he grabs the shotgun. He tells him like, was it white boy?
Yeah, it was. Skinny little white boy or something like that.
Yeah, and of course they arrested them and they save Jesse, and then they catch Mr. Smith. Then of course Frankie and his team come in, and then it was like, okay, where's actually the money? And then they tell him so the kangaroo. Of course, the kangaroo comes in running, and then they get distracted, and everyone starts fighting each other.
And then he falls over the cliff, doesn't he?
No, they go on the chase. Remember, they start running on the camels while they're chasing them. Like,
they're in the car and they lean out and stuff, don't they? And
yeah. Also, that fight scene between Frankie and Mr. Smith and their men, it's like it was badly edited. I would say
that's probably to avoid people being actually shot or whatever.
Yeah, you have to hide the blood, swears, bullets, anything.
Yeah. And of course, as they're actually, walking in, and then Lewis actually said, I'm about to catch it. They got the money from Jack. As they are, but you see, like he told me, there's the cliff, of course, and he does catch, but unfortunately he falls, and then Charlie has to come.
He says go long and throws it, doesn't he? As a payback to, a callback to earlier.
No, that's actually, we still haven't finished the clip because they rescue, Lewis and Charlie. He uses his belt and what's his name, Jesse's belt and a rope to save Lewis, and then after that, that's where Frankie comes in and he tells him like the truth that this whole thing, there was a plan was to get them killed in Australia instead of in New York. I look like the helicopter comes in that Mr. Jimmy, he looks at that. That made me laugh.
They've literally hired their guide was up by the Australian police.
And of course, this is where he used the, what's the name? Bolos?
Bolos, yeah.
Yes, and to catch Frankie. And he gets arrested, and he tells him like, we were following you because we've been in ourselves wanting Mr. Smith. We got to contact that Salah and his men are in contact with Mr. Smith. That's how we were following Frankie a lot. And here's the part where he uses the R word.
Yeah, everything else cut, but they leave that in a kid's film.
I mean, I remember I heard it in Godzilla, the 1999. They used it also.
Thankfully, times have changed on that, and it's
Tropic Thunder was also used, but that was actually a commentary. It was more.
Yeah.
And if there's that film annoyed, he does a lot of. Again, it's commentary, but that points a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
I think it's bad because that movie, at least, because they decided to make a statement about how Hollywood it is and their award system.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with Blazing Saddles. There are problematic stuff in it, but that's also a commentary also.
Yeah, I think Blazing Saddles certainly walks the line, I think, a lot better than Tropic Thunder.
Because I think Blazing Saddles is so over the top with it that it's sort of it's like no one can take the shit seriously. But I guess you could sort of miss some of the bits in Tropic Thunder and not realize this is poking fun at the bad stuff, and just think, no, this is
yeah. And of course they get arrested, and of course, and I was surprised to see that the police didn't take the money, that they end up taking the 50 million.
No, 50,000. It's only 50,000.
Yeah, but then they invest it in fucking shampoo.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they eat the berries early on, and they say they smell really nice.
We forgot to talk about
that bit out. Yeah.
Remember when I mentioned that there's a bad edit? It was kind of obviously looked like a reshoot. It's after they arrested the police, and he talks with with Lewis. It's like, hey, I can't be your friend because they paid me to save my life. It's like, no, we're still friends.
Yeah.
And then he sees like a Kangaroo Jack, because he takes the jack back. Then when family comes back, you notice like they're two different shots, because Jerry O'Connor's clothes and hair look different than it was when in that scene, because he's not dirty. It looks very clean. And then the comics and office, like they use different shots. It was very noticeable. See
one of them's green screen. Yeah, one of them's noticeably green
screen. Even his
screen.
clothes also, because he looks very clean. Yeah. I think that was the shot from they reused it from the beginning of the film when Kangaroo kicks Jerry O'Connor, remember? They reused the scene, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they introduced the Kangaroo family just to make it even more
family friendly. Oh yeah.
And what was Snakeberry shampoo.
Yes, and of course the logo is Kangaroo Jack. Does this mean Kangaroo Jack also Jack is getting profits of it because using his image?
Well, no, because the whole point is the minute the jacket comes off, you can't tell who the bloody hell he is.
I'm sure they donate to some kangaroo charity.
I mean, yes, because right now he's married to her. He's married to Jessie. Because he comes out of nowhere.
On a yacht.
Yes.
With their shampoo logo on it. Or it's like...
So I wonder if there's any chemical things like on illegal chemical stuff. Because most of the time we hear about shampoos. This type of stuff. We also hear about this bigger stuff. I would be shocked.
It's called Kangaroo Jack because it's experimented on kangaroos.
That will be a funny thing.
But I think the whole point was that they could use the berries to make it naturally, do the things naturally.
Oh, that's right. The berries, I just remembered because it is
the berries smell so nice, and
I forgot about the berries.
So it is cool back on it. It does pay off on another.
There was some foreshadowing. This is an adult movie. It's clever.
Yeah, and also I like that Lewis jumps into the jacuzzi. I was like, if you've seen Succession, you know that he would have died.
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. Yeah.
Because I saw like you've seen the episode where the doctor jumps into the pool in Succession, right?
No, I haven't watched Succession.
Oh, no, I haven't either.
No, well, I think people have seen. You know exactly what's in because something similar happened, but it's not actually because I know
it's also a tiny hot tub.
Yes,
like the fact that he actually got into that.
He could have eaten shit so hard, if he missed.
I mean, he would have broken his legs because he jumped in legs inside.
When he was in there, it's literally just him in the hot tub.
Like, you've got water either side that's a lot deeper. Go in that.
Yeah.
Maybe he's afraid of the sharks in the water. I mean,
that's true. It's Australia. It could be Jaws.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that was. I don't know why I thought that was probably European. Like, it looked more like a European port to me, or wherever they were.
Yeah, and of course, the
or like American. It doesn't necessarily.
It doesn't clarify where they are, but they're in water.
I thought that was like. Well, no, I thought they did. Or there was something there to make it. See, it looked like an
I don't know. Maybe it's the flag because sometimes they put a flag on the ship. I think maybe that's.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I think, of course, they ended with the Kangaroo Jack coming to screen talking about. It's like, hey, it's supposed to be my movie. I should be talk some stuff. And of course, he does the Porky Pig thing in the end.
Yeah.
And that was actually Kangaroo Jack. And some interesting fact I found out about the movie. So we mentioned Scott Rosenberg is one of the writers, and it's funny enough. Another writer who actually was credited in the film, his name is Steve Bing. Do you guys know who he is?
No.
So he's actually a businessman, philanthropist, but he also financed some movies and stuff because he invested in the Polar Express, multiple Robert Zemeckis project and so many projects. But so he's actually this guy. If you Google him, he's best known actually for his relationship with Elizabeth Hurley. So now Elizabeth Hurley, who she is. Like, she was actually the female lead in Austin Powers, the first movie.
Oh, yeah, she's the one who's in Flight of the Conchord as well.
She was she used to date Hugh Grant for I think for a time. Then I think he had an affair and cheated on her. Remember? But she was also with Bedazzled with what's his name? Brandon Fraser. Do you recognize her? Who she is? Elizabeth Hurley, Andy?
No, for some reason the second image of her is her with Prince Harry.
Because she did as a TV show. But you know, she was actually, but people mostly know her as she was the female in the first, Austin Power movie.
Yeah, I recognize her from that, but not much else.
Yeah. I mean, so now he had the relationship with her, and what happened is that Elizabeth Hurley, she got pregnant, and apparently, I don't know if it's true, they say that he wanted her to abort the baby, and she said no. And then she's like, she wants to keep the baby, and he's like, he even denies. He's like, hey, I'm not the father of the baby, because he didn't apparently until the day he died. I think he denied being the father of the child, but he even did a DNA test. He's like, hey, look, you are the biological father. I think until the day he's actually still denies being the father of the child, because that's what I think most people in the UK know him for.
Didn't know any of this, and I'm not touching any of this.
I'm not touching that either. Yeah,
that's how people.
I don't know it, so I don't want to say anything.
That's actually the story about most of it. When I was reading about the movie, I remember there was this thing, Stephen, who's mostly known for his, especially in the UK, it's like this is the story. Because although the other stuff has been, most of it has been. So anyhow, that's what I found out about some stuff about the behind the scenes stuff. And like I mentioned, the director actually, he didn't direct a movie after this. He's been doing TV shows, and his last credit is 2015 for Beauty and the Beast. And Jerry Bruckheimer, he continued doing movies because he had the same year Pirates of the Caribbean. That was like, I think, a big hit for him. So, and I think that's it for I think that was I must say Samurai Jack for some reason. That's a better thing then. So that was Kangaroo Jack. So I thought it was fine, but I mean, it wasn't a very terrible film. But
look at the thing; it's got 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not that bad. There's definitely worse movies out there.
It's better than Iron Fist. That's all I say.
Decent movie. It's a decent, like, it holds out. It's got a plot. It's for what the hell it was. It's a miracle that it was anywhere near that good or coherent or isn't. There were very few points where the ADR stands out, considering how much dialogue must have been changed post shooting, etc. There's very few bits, as you say, like it stands out when you can actually see it, and we obviously all went in looking for a lot of this. So it's funny in place. It's got some good humor in it. It's got a good story. I say the twist with you were actually just paying for your own hit here, so losing the money has actually saved your lives, because if you'd actually showed up with the money on time, then you would have just been dead, and all the rest of it. That's quite clever, and it's got some good action scenes in it. It's for the kangaroos, that CGI light is actually good, I thought. And there's so many things that I was expecting a shit show, to be honest.
This could have been a lot worse.
You got bleeding Christopher Walken, for God's sake.
He's barely in it. I think he got paid well. I do like the next time you see him is actually a photo in the end of the film.
Yeah, on the newspaper. Just like, we couldn't bring him back again. Shit. We had him for a day.
No, well, I don't know, but you don't know how much more Walken was in there. But I imagine most of the Walken stuff was completely unusable in the kids.
Exactly, and the way he speaks, you can't really get him to voice over himself, because it would not even remotely line up.
Yeah.
All right. And so what do you guys think? Want to give it, Mark?
I'm definitely put it as redeemed. Like it wasn't bad. It was a. It
reminded me about the last movie we saw. Was it Alvin the Chipmunks? It was a fine film, but I think Alvin was actually a better film.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think for a kids film, I think because that's intentionally
because that's what's supposed to be made. This one's not supposed to be a kids film.
No, I think that's the only issue of it is where
if this movie was PG-13, I would have been a little bit at least easier on it.
That car chase at the beginning. There's some scenes that are very clearly from a grown-up movie, and then there's other scenes that are so like the farting bit, like that is so over the top kiddie that it just sometimes they blend it well enough. Other times it's just like this is not. These are two very different movies.
Yeah,
but I mean, have you seen something like Holes, for Christ's sake? Like it was actually intentionally a kids' movie. It has a lot of the things that we're talking about from this movie.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Like,
that's a PG-rated film, but when we watch the movie, it's like, wow, that's a PG-rated film.
I mean, Holes opens with a kid taking his shoes and socks off with the Neil song playing in the background, and he kicks a rattlesnake. It's like, and it comes up with the Disney Kids logo.
I mean, even if keeps forgetting like what the old classic Disney animated film were. It was very scary.
I mean, Christ.
I mean, the Queen in Snow White. Who can forget?
Yeah, most of the children's films of my childhood are thoroughly scarring. Right. So I enjoyed it. Yeah. I enjoyed it. So I think I would definitely put it as redeemed or whatever.
What about you, Andy?
The thumbs up on it.
I mean, I'd guess it's in that bit of just in between the two. So I'm in a good mood, so I'll say it's redeemable as well. Just because, like, it just as long as it depends who you're recommending it to. Like, I wouldn't go to my parents and say, "Come on, guys, we're gonna watch Kangaroo Jack tonight." Like, no. But for us, that was a good time. That was fine. We've talked about it, and we've definitely watched worse. And
and knowing having the Jerry O'Connell story from the Kind of Funny podcast, like.
There's enough gave it that little bit of to fill in some fun.
Sometimes, like you read about the behind-the-scenes story about the film, it makes the film more funnier about what happened.
or you just have Jerry O'Connell tell you about it all whilst on the under 5G tower in a fucking.
When there's kids around and he's just saying horrific shit.
And then he's like,
what I'm imagining right now is him at the camp. Imagine him in the camp telling the story of Kangaroo Jack to the kids. Over marshmallow.
Just there, it's because he has got shit internet. The best bit was after I watched it, like YouTube recommended the Kangaroo Jack reunion on the Jimmy Kimmel show.
I think that was Kai. He tweeted you.
In exactly the same place under the tower.
Because I have to see it after the podcast.
Oh god! It was just like, oh my god,
yeah.
And again, he's the pop-in on the interviewer. What entity was getting interviewed or whatever. He suddenly joins us because this was like when they were back in the studio. So he just joins the Zoom call and he's in a park.
I like
that episode of Kind of Funny.
Jerry O'Connell. I read an interview. He's like, this is what people mostly. It's like, hey, you're the guy from Kangaroo Jack. Sometimes people tell him it used to be Jerry Maguire. Yeah.
And what? No, his.
So if you guys want
to know, he always says, "You lied to me." I think you got a quote here somewhere.
I mean, it's not his fault.
Loads of people come up to him and say it's the first time they felt they were lied to in their life. Watching the Kangaroo Jack trailer and going watching that film. So he regularly gets people come up to him and tell him that he was the first time they were ever lied to.
It's funny enough, you were talking about, did you guys know that they did an animated sequel to Kangaroo Jack a year later?
He also clarifies he's not giving refunds.
It's different than George Clooney and Batman and Robin. He was like, I don't know if he still does it. He gives refunds to people who saw Batman and Robin and hate it.
He also shits all over the Snyder Cut in the Kind of Funny podcast. With quotes like, I don't know if you mention something, we might get a increased viewership now.
Oh,
sorry, I forgot about all your...
No, it's okay. Let them get, because they made my most beautiful because of them, so let them come.
Yeah, I like the Snyder Cut, so people only be mean to the old man. I like the Snyder Cut. It's a good film.
Wasn't
people I know who saw it to talk positively about it, to be fair. I mean, I'm not watching a 4-hour long movie, that's what.
I mean, I watch it in two goes. Whenever I watch it, I do like the first 4 and the last 4.
Yeah. So anyhow, as far I've got to my opinion about it. So actually, like I said, it was fine. The film for me, it's like, I mean, it's not good, it's not perfect. I'll give it like a little bit of redemption to it.
So is that 3. So it's a redeemed then, is it?
Yeah, it's a redeemed. I mean, it's actually.
I mean,
like remember, I think we talked about Judge. I think we said that's an unredeemed movie, but it's a movie that you would recommend to see because it's fun to watch and make fun of.
Well, I think this is fun
different
to watch. Full stop. Anyway, and even more if you've got watched the Kind of Funny podcast with Jerry O'Connell, which if you haven't seen, go watch. It is something that you don't even if you don't care about Kind of Funny, like it is just one of the funniest things ever. And Jerry O'Connell is just brilliant in it, just shouting in the park.
This type Jerry O'Connell Kind of Funny podcast, and you'll see it.
Just the 20 minutes of not addressing that he's in the bar, like touching it and then going off and just talking about it.
All right.
Breakdown. It was absolutely KJ is also how we should have been referring to it. That's how he refers to it.
Oh yes, Kangaroo Jack, KJ.
Yeah.
I've also just looked at the cast for that animated sequel you said.
Yes.
I feel so sorry. The person that voices Lewis in there is Ahmed Best. And as you don't know, is the guy that plays Jar Jar Binks.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think, is Josh Keaton voted Charlie?
Josh Keaton is the voice of Charlie, yes.
That's Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man.
But there's an animated sequel.
Yes, in 2004, direct to video.
What's it called? Kangaroo Jack, Good Day USA.
There's a scene. And I also love that synopsis in Wikipedia. This movie is actually about the kangaroo, unlike the original.
It's same voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kangaroo Jack's voiced by Jeff Bennett, who's done a lot of like Johnny Bravo. And
yes, Johnny Bravo doing his voice.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a scene in the movie where he sings Lil Cool Mama Said Knock You Out during the boxing scene.
Brilliant. I was going to say, there's a picture of him in boxing gloves. Oh, fuck it out.
Yeah. I love the synopsis. At least this movie has to do more with Kangaroo Jack than the first. All right. Listen to the designers. Thanks, Mark and Andy, for coming and joining and also thanks for making like an exciting, first episode of 2023, because now I have to see what the next episode to record now.
I think I've done, I'm doing quite well on this, that I haven't had to watch a stinker yet. For
those who don't know, I'm actually, Mark and I don't know if Andrew's going to be part of it, but some other friends we're working on doing like an special episode where we talk about the best film of 2022.
Which clearly is going to be Clerks 3, there's no contest on that.
I mean, someone's going to have Clerks 3 on them. Also, we should the list will also include honorable mention, in case you want to give honorable mention to a movie, you can put the movie on it, because it's not on your top 10 list.
No, shit, I must be the wrong one.
He wants to add Morbius in the list, trust me.
No, I was looking, but it says Clerks 3 has a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I thought made it rotten, because I thought the Fresh was 70 and up, but no, so we can't do it in this.
We're not going to review a good movie.
Fuck, I mean, it's a bad movie, but fuck.
It's an amazing movie.
Yeah,
you can find out my top 10 list that Andy absolutely loves and definitely agrees with.
No, he doesn't.
I can tell you Andy's top 10 is from 1 to 10. Morbius.
I think I've seen 6 films of 6 or 7 films of 2022. So by default, Morbius has to be on there just because I have seen it. Same with Clerks 3, it will be on there because I have seen it. Purely by default, but it's on there.
Yeah. So I think that was it for today's episode. Mark, where people can find you?
At the Indie Boy one on Twitter and whatever the Hive. I haven't got the one on. It's just the Indie Boy finally.
Using Hive, because I know I have it, but I stopped using it because of that some things were having issues. But I don't know if they fixed it or not.
Yeah, it seems to be working, but yeah.
How about you, Andy? Do you still stream Sea of Thieves, or do you still?
I will be at some point. I've had some personal stuff going on, so I haven't really been up for streaming. This is the first sort of thing I've done in like 2 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should be at some point soonish. It's Andy Mac 9995 on Twitch, and hopefully I'll be doing the new stuff, and I just get killed a lot, and I end up swearing and drinking, and just Or you can find me in Mark's Zooms all the time, where it just turns into us moaning at him because he has really shit movie opinions, which he does.
Or us, annoying Joe, and then him.
Yeah. it's just old white men shouting at each other. It's a fun time.
Yeah, and for me, you can find me at the MrYazMan300 on Twitter. MrYazMan300.
We have plenty of diversity. Like, we have
a lot.
We do have
a diverse group. It's just
yes. There's more diverse people.
Me, Andy, and Joe shouting.
More diverse than most of the God, what's the most wisest thing? Oh yeah.
We do turn it into Waldorf and Statler, me and Andy.
Yeah.
I like that Andy got the guy who has a hearing problem.
Well, this one has more hair, so I thought I had to have this one. That was my only logic.
All right.
Okay.
And for me, like I said, Yaz300 Pro on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everything. Like I said, you can find the podcast Redemption of Rotten everywhere. YouTube and podcasts is on Apple and Spotify. Basically, type Redemption of Rotten, you'll find it. Thanks, guys, for listening. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.
Later.